Mr. Backus is going to take over at that.
Well, hi there, very good morning to you, and welcome to Voices on Win FM 98.9. And of course, we want to thank you so much for staying tuned to Win FM 98.9. And we do hope you're going to enjoy our program. And we've got a great program lined up for you. And you're going to be hearing from Steve Manners, who is going to be a co-host of the program, if you like, today. But first, we want to say a very good morning to our partners. We want to say good morning to Flo and to Rams as well.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
My clothes and me looking well dapper. Stepping out the night with Ramona and Sasha. Run to the fridge for me secret trick. 2 buckle of Magnum, now everything's set. You don't know one girl can't manage me when me under me Magnum all 2 or 3. Nicky a buckle to me granddaddy, cause later on tonight he might expect a lady. You want the energy for do the things that you do. Drop in the Magnum with the vigor thank you. Ladies, give you the vibe, big more fit and all them on them. Give you that strong extra lift. Magnum tonic wine, energy when you need it.
Like us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/ramsupermarket. Follow us on Twitter, www.twitter.com/ramsupermarket. And subscribe to us on YouTube, www.youtube.com/ramsupermarket.
Well, a very good morning to you once again, and welcome to Voices. I'm very pleased this morning. I'm in delightful company, and I must tell you I'm extremely happy. I have with me Mr. Steve Manners, and he has an illustrious panel this morning. Good morning, Steve.
Well, thank you for that thunderous introduction. We are so happy to have come across the Narrows to be with you today to update the nation on a very important topic, the Christina disaster 50 years on. And as you said, we've got an illustrious panel. To my immediate right, we've got Almond Decent, all things technical. And on the other side, we've got Winston Crook and Terry Andrews. They're water folks, always on the water. We are land lovers, and they will tell us about some of the activities that we've got planned for the 50th anniversary commemoration, which will be August 1st, 2020. Now, as usual, when we have defining moments in our history, we turn to our artists, folk singers, calypsonians, authors, poets, documentarians to get a greater understanding of what happened in the past. And we'll start with a calypso by a Nevisian called Ronnie Skeet of St. James's Parish. Ronnie Skeet, Neil, why is Skeet on my mind? Ronnie Neil of St. James's Parish, but he resides on the friendly island of St. Martin. Let's listen to his take of the Christina disaster, August 1st, 1970.
Saturday afternoon of August the 1st, 1970. Christina left the port of St. Kitts, headed to Queen City. About a half mile up max, it began to take on water. People started to panic as the boat was going under.
Christina went down
to the bottom of the ocean.
When Christina went down,
229 people drowned.
When Christina went down,
people were crying all around.
Christina went
wailing sound. The passenger capacity was 155. That day they overloaded it with 320 persons plus merchandise. When it got into the rough seas, Christina couldn't stay afloat, no. Already overloaded, the water went right in inside the boat.
Christina went down.
Was total chaos upon the water.
Christina went down.
Their bodies were floating all over.
Christina went down.
Only 91 persons survived.
Christina went down.
229 lost their life. Oh yeah. One more thing. After 47 years, Christina sits on the ocean floor. In about 80 feet of water, we'll never sail the seas no more. And the names of all those who perished written in a memorial headstone. In a cemetery over in that village, they will never return home.
Christina went down.
It was total chaos and misery.
Christina went down.
It took a toll on everybody.
Christina went down.
It went down with mothers and fathers.
Christina went down.
It even took two of my neighbors.
Christina went down.
At the time I was looking at my
Christina
goals.
went down.
This young boy came down and told me so.
Christina went down.
Even the dog got in on the action.
Christina went down.
I'll never forget that howling sound.
Christina went down.
These are the words of Franklin Brown.
Christina went down.
A fella said, tell me mother me drown.
Christina went down.
They say something was looking fishy.
Christina went down.
I'm not claiming so up that John B.
Christina went down.
They say the boat had on a demon.
Christina went down.
Now that's Ronnie Neal, a Calypsonian from St. James Parish, Nevis, now residing in St. Martin, and his rendition on the 40th anniversary of the sinking of the MV Christina, 1st August 1970. Now, when Alman and myself conceived this project in February and started to hit the pavement, we started with zero budget. All a will to document what is left of the oral history of that disaster 50 years ago. Along the way, we have carved out many partners, and you'll hear about them as we go along. But let me at the onset pay tribute to Whitman T. Brown, who I was so happy to introduce you to, Clive Bacchus, and I know you're going to have him on sometime. He's looking forward to that because he has been the foremost author on the Christina disaster. He has given us 3 books. 1985, The Christina Disaster in Retrospect, 2000, The Christina Disaster Revisited, and in 2012, The Christina Disaster 42 years later. There have been other writers, of course. There has been Ozzie Tyson, who gave us Ozzie's Odyssey, and he is a survivor of the Christina disaster. We will hear from him later, and we were with him on Sunday, and he has written a second book, completed last week, which will hit the bookshelves at the end of July, recounting persons who he knew who lost their lives on the MV Christina. On this side of the Narrows, of course, there's been Clement Bouncing Williams, who in capturing the first 30 years of his life, dedicated a chapter in his book to the work he did during the Christina disaster, taking ice on the police launch over to Nevis for the dead bodies because there were no funeral parlors on the island. And of course, Hansel Manners, my brother, did the signature folk song, and then there are poets like Harvey Hendrickson and Calvin Jones, who was a mere 2 months when he lost his mother on the Christina. He did a heart-wrenching poem for the 40th anniversary. So let me pay tribute to all of those, because without them, we wouldn't have a focus for the work that we set out to do in February. Now, we're 1 month out from August 1st, 50 years since the tragic sinking of the MV Christina, a government-owned ferry which had plied the trade between St. Kitts and Nevis between June 1959 and August 1st, 1970. It was captained by a 57-year-old James Richard Pontine, a Monstrasian policeman turned ferry captain. His body was the last fished from the water. On its final passage, the boat carried over 300 persons, even though it was commissioned to carry 155. 91 persons survived, 170 bodies were never recovered, 57 bodies identified and given a burial, 13 on Nevis at the Bath Cemetery, most of the others at the Springfield Cemetery here in St. Kitts. It is the worst boating disaster in the English-speaking Caribbean, and only surpassed by Ferry Neptune, which sank off Haiti on February 15, 1993, taking between 500 and 700 Haitian refugees. Now, the core component of our project is documentation, capturing the institutional memory that is left, and we identified 24 survivors, people who are still alive. We spoke to several. We spoke to people like Earl Pupil Paris, who was traveling, a fisherman who was traveling on a boat back to Nevis, when he realized something was amiss and tried to alert the crew on the MV Carib Queen. We spoke to somebody like Meredith Charles, who was the first man overboard, and Pupil Paris went overboard to assist him. We spoke to people like Dr. Kennedy Simmons, who was the only doctor in Nevis at the time, as fate would have it, and attended to 63 of the 65 patients brought to the Alexandria Hospital. And of course, we spoke to Winston Skeet, who we just met as we came from the ferry terminal, who was a bit of a hero. He, aboard the Sea Hunter, rescued many, many of the persons. And since then, he has been the key person in keeping the history of the Christina disaster alive. Now, the Christina disaster was very hard on women folk. Only 9 women survived. We were happy to speak to Diana Williams Richards, co-owner of the Bird Rock Beach Hotel, last Thursday. But many, many women folk were lost. We can tell you about the story of the Hill family at Morning Star. Bethia Hill, a lady from the village here in St. Kitts, was married to a Nevisian called Richard Hill. She had come over and she perished, leaving 9 children between the ages of 14 and 5. Then we could tell you about Claristine Dorr of Pond Hill, the grandmother of Nevis's Minister of Education, Youth, and Troy Liebert. She perished at the age of 32, leaving 8 children, ages 13 to 2 years old. And then, of course, there's a story of Hannah Paris of Craddock Road, who it is reported to us was the last person to get on the boat after the friendly captain, Pontine, returned for the 3rd time, making sure that Hannah Paris could go back to Craddock Road to feed her 8 children. She too perished. And when we sat in February to hear people tell their Christina stories, among us was Thelma Paris Mills, the youngest, 9 months at the time. She was very teary-eyed. She withdrew. We found her missing. She went to the bathroom, and then she came back because she had met with, through telephone, her 14-year-old brother, the oldest from that clan, who lives in Baltimore, Maryland. And she had us talk to him. Let's listen to the story of Calvin Paris. They were hoping for a reunion this summer, as so many Nevisian families were looking forward to. That won't happen because of COVID and the fact that the borders are closed. But her story is heart-rending.
It was for us to try to live off of. So there was not much support in terms of financial income, and that was the reason why I had to quit school and went to work was one of those foremen that collected the fees for people from the different stores that we carried the cargo to. Many nights we stayed at sea because of not enough wind to carry us through. But the family survived. Somehow God made a way, and we are still here today.
That's Calvin Paris. And that family has never been able to come together since 1970 in the aftermath of the Christina disaster. One of Thelma's brother is now the Reverend Othniel Daly, but he was Othniel Paris. And Kelvin Daly tells us a story all the time of how his mother, a nurse of well standing, Helen Daly, the Charlestown Clinic, brought Othniel home one day with a little grip with all his earthly possessions and said, "This is your new brother." So Othniel Paris became Othniel Daly. The family was very, very, very proud to travel to Curacao for the Methodist Conference in October last year because he has rose to become a minister in the Methodist Church. Now, one of the other persons who suffered, well, I shouldn't say suffered, because he's the only person we have met who seemed to have had fun on the ocean on August 1st, 1970. We interviewed him at the Fisherman's Wharf last Thursday. Let's listen to local Calypsonian Devon Lord Cutlibert.
Came down the Saturday morning, I came down on the boat just to pick up my stuff to go back up by my grandmother in the evening. So as we normal come down, normal travel, enjoy myself in St. Kitts, all my friends and so on, have a good time. And I was a little late that day. I think I actually maybe the last person jump on the boat. I normally travel and the downstairs was a 25 cent.
25 cents.
To be in the downstairs, because you know it's a two-story boat. And upstairs I think was $1 and $1.50, big and the small. So I happened to be late that day. So as the boat leave, somebody else get left back and the boat come back. So as the boat come back, that's when I hop on. And I hop on the upstairs this time. First time I traveling on the upstairs.
You hop on the upstairs?
On the upstairs.
It was possible to do that from the pier?
Yes, because the upstairs now was actually the level of the pier. And you had to go down the step to go in on the bottom floor. Yeah, so that's how it was. So I happened to get on the upstairs this time. And traveling to Nevis, enjoying the boat as usual, full with people. Jam-packed with people, because you know during that time now, lots of people used to come from St. Thomas and St. Croix and England. England was a popular thing.
Was August Monday?
August Monday. They normally got a horse race. So everybody, I don't know, the Nevian always have a habit of celebrating during August time. Since long time with the horse race and every little family visit and so on. So the boat jam-packed that day. And as we sailing going, as usual, it lean and we taking water and we throw out water.
So you're saying taking in water was a normal course?
Taking in water was a normal course.
Serious?
It was a normal course. Several times I was in there standing up in water. But the boat lean left, it lean right. And as how the boat built, as it roll, the water go out and it go out. Yeah. But this day now, I happen to be in the upstairs as I tell you. So with the rolling and so on, I upstairs, I enjoying the rolling. And I remember well, a fellow from Nevis, it's just like I seen him, but I don't know his name. He come and he asked me. He said, "Boy, you think this thing will reach Nevis?" I said, "What stupidness you talking?" we going over, man. And he tell me he ain't believe he can go over. About just a few minutes after, the captain for the boat passed through and pick up my money. And as he going down the stairs, the boat make a heavy lean.
Which side?
Going on the left side, traveling up to Nevis. A heavy lean on the left side, come back to the right. And by the time it got back to the right, everything around me just like they collapse. You could hear everything, like the chairs and the bench, everything get loose, and the boat continue to go.
Still traveling.
Traveling, going forward, but at the same time going down. So I grabbed on the top, we had a metal railing, and I jumped as far as I could because I'm accustomed to that, from the propeller of the boat. Because you know that it can't, if you ain't jump far, it will, they say it will pull you back in. So I jumped far and stay in the sea and watch the boat sink.
All the same, that's back in the United States. Many years ago, many of the Indians were very badly treated by their own government, the federal government. And they never agitated, they fought into courts. And they had to be compensated. And Ronald Reagan and George was senior George Herbert Walker Bush, because they had some tragedy and bad treatment or whatever they do to them. But they never give up, they agitate, and they had to take care of them. I hope I don't have to do that.
We hope so.
They agitate, because that's a very big case that, there's a government theory.
Yeah.
How you not taking the people to survive? And there wasn't so many people,
Now that is Ozzie Tyson, the book writer, 6 foot tall, 6'5" tall, hunk of a man, but every time we have come close to him, he is brought to tears because he lost his mother, 2 brothers, and a sister. And he is adamant that governments past and present have not done enough to compensate those who lost their lives or their survivors. And he thinks that needs to be rectified, and that is one of our project aims going forward. We also heard the story of Terence Brad Jeffers and Clifford Foscock Brown of Bricklin. Bricklin had 12 persons on the boat, a very small, very connected village. Everybody is related. And these are the only 2 people who are surviving. 8 women drowned from that village, 4 persons survived, and these 2 are the only ones here to tell the tale. Now, Terence lives in Boston, Massachusetts, my brother-in-law, and he's been locked in here, so we've gotten his story. But he has never had nightmares or anything, unlike lots of other people. He's a creature of the sea. They say he was taken to the sea by his grandparents as early as 3, and he goes to the sea almost every day still. Clifford Foscock has met dangerous situations where he stared death in the face on 6 occasions. He's now lost the use of his limbs, but a very strong storyteller. Now, on the first anniversary of the Christina, 1971, a gentleman from Sadler's by the title of Mills, the brother-in-law of Kennedy Simmons, brought an amphicar down from England and wanted to venture from St. Kitts to Nevis. And he was down at the waterfront asking people to accompany him. And because of the fear of the sea, nobody would venture. And Clifford Foscock Brown put up his hand, made the 3-hour journey, and he said it was a turbulent one. And then, of course, the car took a drive around Nevis, and he was a champion as they rode through Bricklin Village. Let's listen to the story of Terence Brad Jeffers and Clifford Foscock Brown. They swam together, Terence in his shoes, but he was helped greatly by Clifford Foscock Brown. Let's listen to the Bricklin duo.
Why I happened to end up to be going St. Kitts, that on occasions, most of the time, sometimes, if not every week, every other week, them times there, so, we were poor and all them kind of stuff.
Okay.
So one of my family members had us normally send me St. Kitts to go and collect the groceries and so.
Okay.
Because them times, sometimes we just go St. Kitts, get groceries to come up in order to give our parents and grandparents and so. So that's one of the reasons why I went St. Kitts that Saturday. But during the time when I was down there, one of my cousins were encouraging me not to go up to there. I could have stayed for the weekend, but I didn't want to stay. So I ended up telling them that I won't be staying.
You're coming back home?
Coming back home. Boat in the Christina, the boat, I would say, was almost full.
Almost full?
Not almost. Well, why you say full? Because the boat turned off already from the pier to start heading towards Nevis. And then other people were coming and they turn back, pick up, and then they take off again, and more people were coming. But this second time now, they didn't turn back. From the time when the boat leave the pier in St. Kitts, coming towards Nevis, that boat start rocking from side to side, from side to side, all the time, for the whole journey.
I don't think at that time, when I get on the boat, it was too heavy. And no Asadi people. I traveled on that boat many times and it did full. But to me own experience afterwards, the things that float out of that boat, I can't believe the boat being against some of the things. The boxes, the suitcase.
Okay, you're talking about.
Have so many of those things.
Because it was overload. Because people was coming over for a occasion.
August week.
For the August
And of
month.
course there were a lot of turn hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
People from Rolling Mountain
Right,
and
right.
who were going to sell bread,
Sheep,
goat.
Yeah, because all them times they used to be turn on, going down and then coming back up. Yeah.
etc.
And the things that float out the boat. I can't believe so much of things was in the boat because everybody who was on that boat, if it was more convenient, I feel everybody can get something to hold on. The next thing that actually killed some of the people, a boat was in the harbor of St. Kitts. You remember it, bro?
They say it was a boat called
Yeah.
And the boat,
Enterprise.
green, got on a big E on it. And people thought the boat will come to rescue us.
And it didn't?
And when the boat there a little off, the boat turned head the next way.
Yeah, we heard about that.
People actually, to me, went to look for help from that boat.
We were told that this morning. People swam towards the boat. Instead
But
of
after
swimming
the boat
towards.
went back, it was too far to shore.
Yep, we heard that today. Now, after Christina, these two gentlemen, Terence and Clifford, along with Charlie Pinney, Answorth Swap Mills, Orrington Brown, David Gray Queely, Matthew Richards, and Antonio John Johnson, joined with Whitman T. Brown to help Nevisians overcome the fear of the sea. And they became the first in modern history to swim between St. Kitts and Nevis, both forward and backwards. Now it has become a norm, compliments to people like Winston and Terry, but I believe, Clive, you'll need to take a station break. And then when you come back, over to these two creatures of the sea.
Creatures of the sea, indeed. Thank you so much. What a riveting and moving presentation on today's Voices. We want to hear from our partners. We come back. We'll continue our discussions on the Christian disaster right here on Win FM 98.9.
Buster, roll it up, meet the thirst quencher in my cup. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that what we like. Buster, you're full of vibes, living for the color. I know black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Buster, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, Buster put the colors in my life.
Flow's new combo plan, the people's plan.
Combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your flow.
I want a combo, but not for my belly. I feel me cell phone, so me call anybody. Call Mr. Man, call Granny. On the island flow, come boom.
Yes, there is no need for two phones no more. Cause with Flow combo plan, you're paying less for more.
Flow got a new combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your flow.
Dial star 129 sign to activate your combo plan today.
You're tuned to Win FM 90.9. You're in Voices, and we have with us, Ammon, Steve, Terry, and Winston. And, we're talking about a very, very heavy topic today. a topic that really pulls at the heartstrings and really, grabs your attention. And when you hear from people who have actually lived around that time, who experienced the MV Christina, it really brings it all home to you. It just seems like yesterday. And I guess for relatives and friends, it's always like today. But let me say good morning to Winston. The last time I saw him, he just was organizing and just along the Park Hyatt Beach. I think it was the annual event once again. And I always wanted to know what happened to your punch. There's no punch. What is that? You're letting us down.
No, I'm trying to avoid the punches. Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is a strange and also a wonderful time, because although it's a commemorative occasion of 50 years, we also have to be uplifted by the memories and the recall of these wonderful survivors, and as we recall the experience and the history of the Christina, we also have to be looking forward to what is going to happen for the next 50 years. I personally have got involved with the cross-channel swim for different reasons, but I'm personally impacted because I can remember distinctly not being able to tell my own mother, who's from Gingerland, that I was going to swim the channel, because she would have freaked out, because she's obviously from her generation. The Christina loomed large in the psyche. I always had to tell her that I'd done it already. She still went mad at me, but I'd already done it. So I remember doing it the first time. There were 35 of us, and it was in honor of a member we'd lost, and it came from our involvement in triathlon. And so we went across 35 in honor of the person we lost. And it has continued and developed into an annual event, which would have celebrated its 19th year, I believe, this year. But of course, COVID has affected not only small St. Kitts and Nevis, but the world and globally. So, but as part of that celebration and honor of the persons lost and the persons who survived the Christina disaster, we are moving forward, and we wanted to do something very, very special to celebrate and honor the disaster. So on the 1st of August, the St. Kitts and Nevis Swimming Federation, of which I'm the president, will be hosting part of a collaborative event to make a full day of celebration and honoration of those members.
Commemoration.
Yes, exactly, commemoration. So, although, and from tragedy, you move forward and you try and, with the recall, you also celebrate the next 50 years, which is our mission. Our mission is to develop swimming as both an activity and a sport, and recognize some of the history that has just been recalled, that a group of persons who were involved very first-hand with the Christina took it upon themselves to try and help St. Kitts and Nevis nationals to overcome their fears of the ocean. And we are, by accident, following on that tradition, and part of what we're going to do is actually organise a swim from the site to Nevis on the 1st of August. And as I said, it's part of a whole day of events, and I'm sure Armin will be able to run through the full day of activities. But our part of that will be we currently have 4 persons in training, because it's going to be approximately 10 kilometres. And it's the open ocean, so it's obviously there's a lot of swaying around, and you can't hold a straight line. But it's going to be fully supported. We're going to have a reef laying under the ocean as a semi-permanent recognition of the Christina, and then we're going to have 4 swimmers who are going to swim from the site to Nevis, where at 4:10.
4:10. The boat went down at 4:10.
4:10. There will be a collective moment of silence for all concerned. Our mission, as I said, is to try and develop and move forward with the development of swimming as a sport and an activity, because of the ocean surrounds us. And although at the moment the collective psyche is that it's a terrifying place to be, but with a sea change in that mindset, which we are hoping to create over the next 50 years, we're going to turn it into what it can be, which is an area of fun and enjoyment and activity. And our long-term goal is we hope to actually have build a facility or facilities for swimming pools, so we can actually have swimming in the school's curriculum and develop a counterculture to the current one. One of the key elements of that is, of course, instructors, coaching, and safety. And I've been back on Nevis now for some 30 years, and there have been many programs, but I have to say that the best program I have seen in all these 30 years is currently, again, was interrupted by COVID-19, but we have present here in the studio with us is Teresa Andrews, who is one of the principals of the Swim to Win program, and I'm going to hand over to her because this is part of the future of the development of swimming as an activity and a sport, and I'll let Terry tell you all about the Swim to Win program.
Well, thank you very much, Winston, and I'm very proud and honored to be part of this celebration and commemoration with the Christina. I became involved with open water swim through my involvement with Special Olympics here in the Federation, and it became very apparent to me early on that this tremendous fear of the ocean is such a part of the psyche here in the Federation. Some of our best swimmers in the Federation are my Special Olympic athletes. So through that, we decided to make a collaborative effort to develop a program here in the Federation, grassroots driven, where we can develop qualified local instructors who teach in a similar manner so that we would have consistency and something very sustainable. So we collaborated with the Department of Youth and Sport in Nevis, also with the Nevis Yacht Club and the Sail to a Brighter Future. Obviously, swimming is a basic sport, and through that, you can't become a sailor, you can't become a kayaker, you can't enjoy the water without knowing how to swim. So through this, we brought down a master open water swimmer and coach and athlete, Ann McClendon. She came down to the Federation in January and ran a week-long intense program for our instructors, putting them through what we called a level 1 instruction. We had a whole year of events and calendar of events and programs, but that was pre-COVID. But we started our Swim to Win program in February. There was a huge outpouring. It was amazing. We had 60 swimmers come and partake of the program. We would put them into small groups, each group with an instructor and an in-water volunteer. So it was a very safe environment. And we conducted this month of Sundays. So for 4 Sundays, we had everyone from the ages of 7 up through full adults, 77, let's say that. Most of who could not swim, most of who were deathly afraid of the water, would not get in the water. And by the end of that time, they were having fun, they were able to float, they were able to do some strokes. Most importantly, though, is we developed some local instructors, and it was phenomenal to see. So the plan was to have Ann come back throughout the year to conduct our level 2 and level 3 training for our instructors. We had an international lifeguard training group coming down who were going to do lifeguard training and certification in June. All that has been put off to 2021 right now. But what it was showed was that there was a huge need and desire to learn to swim. So working together, we develop a base of these instructors that can then go moving forward when we have a pool to be part of the curriculum in the school's curriculum so that we can have a sustainable method of teaching swimming. Being able to swim leads to many opportunities, not only just in work and tourism and things like that. You can become a sport official and travel through that. And for those who wish to really develop their swimming skills, they can represent their country as an athlete, which I know Winston would appreciate that. So anyway, it's amazing what can be done as a collaboration. To make this link between what was the past 50 years from the Christina and what is the potential, so that we can develop so that everyone in the Federation feels safe in the water. We live on this beautiful island, and we need to be able to enjoy the sea and not be terrified of it.
Now, a lot of people can't swim. This has been going on for a long time. You would think water all about, we can swim, but it's not so at all. One person said to me, it's not the sea I'm worried about, it's what's beneath it. So I'm glad you're doing this. Mm-hmm. And, Steve, there are quite a few adults, you'll be surprised, who cannot swim as well. So it's good to hear you doing that. My only question is the whole tension between the sea and the swimming pool. What's that tension for us? Some people say, no, give me a pool. So we say, no, you need to swim in the sea. Can somebody explain that to us, please? What's the pros and cons of sea versus swimming pool?
Well, the good thing about the sea is we have lots of it. The problem,
free.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything.
And it's free.
The problem is, over the years, through my involvement with triathlon over the last 20 years, of course, I realized 10, 12 years ago that we had no more young swimmers coming forward because they were just too scared, and that's been passed on through the generations. So the plan is to unravel that knot, and the reason why I've been pushing, and the Federation has been pushing for the swimming pool, is because it's a safe environment. Plus, that's the principal thing, is that the parents would be less likely to keep their children back from a swimming program because it's a very simple and safe environment that they know they're going to be fine with. The sea, because it changes on a daily basis, the open water, it's subject to the laws of nature, is an uncontrollable. So therefore, it suggests many things, and also you can't see the bottom for a lot of the time. So people are always concerned about what they can't see. The pool takes that away. So the magical ingredient, specifically for St. Kitts and Nevis, is to have swimming pools, I'm going to say, so that we can start to unravel that Gordian knot and look forward to what is possible, the potential, and definitely the pool is the way, just based on my experiences.
Steve?
Clive, most of the persons we interviewed told us that more people could swim in 1970 than in 2020. Of course, life was far different. There wasn't the internet, there weren't distractions. So summer was going on Sunday school picnics, going with your father to the beach.
And there hadn't been the Christina disaster.
And so it's really sad that 50 years after we're none the better. No. As Clive has insinuated, he perhaps can't even swim.
Yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. In my case, a body was found floating in water and we were just banned from the area for a while, So we had our own experiences. There's a story everywhere, but that's just a story of how it started. It's not over yet. I'm still going to learn to swim with this swim to win thing.
Well, I hope so.
When it gets to the elders, in the society, yes, we're going to be there. But but just a quick one before we go to in terms of the exact activities. What is the response been like for you guys as you've been, spreading the word about Christina? Lots of talk about Christina. Books are out, discussions. What is the latest we can see in terms of momentum to the things you're trying to achieve?
Well, COVID is a momentum killer. We started in February. We got off to a pretty good start. We were here, I think, in March. We weren't here physically, on the phone in March, and then along came Master COVID, and we had to be holed up in our homes for the better part of 3 months. So we crawled out about 2 weeks ago and started to do interviews again. And so part of why we are here is the momentum building. There's no question about it, the momentum has been broken, because we had been talking to Abernathy Liebert of the Culturama Committee. The plan was to make this part of Culturama, because, of course, Culturama revolves around August 1st, emancipation. we had been talking to the new CEO of the Nevis Tourism Authority because we wanted to incorporate that. We know of several family reunions that were planned. All that has been thwarted because no planes are coming, 40 million people in the U.S. out of work. So the momentum has been broken, but with 1 month to go, we're trying to rebuild that. The other thing is that a lot of young people don't even know about the Christina. There were some, and one of the great inspirations was a young lady, Miranda Ward, who did for her dissertation a study of the Christina. So she came to Nevis and did a lot of work. It was our intention to bring her down from Florida for a symposium. She can't come. She heard that because her mother, who was 5 years old, told her the stories. So the stories have come down through the generations. But you know, this new generation of water taxis going back and forth in 5 minutes, coming over for the weekend to hang out on the strip, have not a care about what happened 50 years ago. So it's about building momentum once again, and we're so happy to be here today on Win FM. Allman, over to you.
All right, so good morning to you, Clive. Good morning to the Win FM family, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be sitting with you and sharing, you know, some of the thoughts that we have with respect to commemorating the Christina tragedy at 50. Terry spoke earlier about the broad-based collaboration, and that is what this is all about, spreading the word, sharing the word, and the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society is at the heart of this. That's our hub, basically. When Steve came up with the idea, shared it with me, and then, you know, we tried to extend the tentacles to the NHCS, and they readily bought into the project. As Steve indicated, the embellishing factor for us is the documentation. And so at the end of our project, which probably will not end August 1st, but is likely to go into August 1st, 2021. But for the core project for us in the documentation, we intend to produce a 50-minute documentary. Somebody said, well, a minute for each year of the 50 years, but a 50-minute documentary, and that will become the property of the NHCS as the agency that is hosting the documentation project. Outside of that, we intend to produce some docu-features looking at the individual impacts of the disaster, impact on women, impact on agriculture, impact on education, impact on business, impact on sports, impact on culture. We're going to be looking at all those as a breakout from the main documentary, like I said, which will be produced on August 1st, or published, I should say, on August 1st. We have had some very good inputs from entities like the SIDF, the Sugar Industry Diversification Foundation. They tell us that a number of Nevisians would have been the kingpins of the sugar belt here in St. Kitts back in the day. And so we were very pleased when the SIDF came on board. They are a project partner to what we're doing. We have had some input from the Taiwanese Embassy, the Republic of China, Taiwan. We have some commitment from the Four Seasons Homeowners Foundation. We also have commitment from the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. And then in terms of traveling back and forth, there is SKN Executive Travel, the Apple Cider, West Limited, Captain Skeet and Mark Twain, Leicester. We have the MV Patients and Island Water Sports. So those are some of the main persons or individuals who have come on board to ensure that we are moving smoothly across, you know, when we're doing the different bits and pieces. In terms of the day, because I know we're strapped for time, on August 1st, traditionally, the Nevis Island Administration would host a memorial service, about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, on the Samuel Hunkins Drive, which is where the one of the monuments in Nevis is placed. So that we expect or we understand will take place. However, the commemorative swim that we spoke about earlier, that is due to commence at noon on August 1st as an expanded commemoration of the Christina. We hope to have a vessel, Tango, leaving the Charlestown waterfront at 11:30 and taking 11:30, right?
Yes,
yeah, taking passengers. It would be some officials, probably some family who were impacted, maybe some of the survivors, depending on the COVID restrictions that we have in place at the time.
Skeet as well.
Yeah, and Captain Skeet on the Sea Hustler. Usually Captain Skeet would lay a wreath at the site on his own. We are seeking to expand the collaboration with him. So he's going to be doing his wreath laying. And then hopefully we have the Tango with all these guests going on the site as well, witnessing that. And there's also going to be an underwater memorial placed as well. So one above water, one beneath the water. And we have a number of collaborators where that is concerned. There is Cleveland Christmas of the Blackfin, I think. There is Ellis Chatterton of Sea Monkey and a number of others. And so we are looking to expand expand the imagery and expand the awareness of the Christina disaster. Now, once the swim starts, which hopefully would be around noon, right after the wreaths are laid, that swim is expected to take like 3, maybe 3.5 hours. And so we expect the swimmers to get to shore by 3:30. And then we are looking at this solemn acknowledgement of the disaster, the survivors, and so on, at about 4:10, as we mentioned earlier. So that is it in a nutshell. We're hoping that there can be some kind of a brief ceremony on the ground when the swimmers arrive at Pinnis Beach.
Pinnis Beach, Clive, was one of the landing points. Skeet took a lot of his survivors to Jones's Bay, just off Cliff Dwellers, aboard the Sea Hunter 1, but some people were brought to Pinnis, and a lot of the dead bodies were brought to the Charlestown Pier. Now, I realize that our time is going very, very quickly. So let me just interject a couple of other things that we're looking at. We've got 2 monuments in Nevis, none in St. Kitts. We want people like CJ to tell us why we would like to see a monument over here. Also, there is no artistic depiction. There's a monument outside the Historical and Conservation Society with all the names, 200 plus persons who perished. But we would like a visual impact. And so we're talking with Vaughan Anslin, the greatest artist on Nevis, and he wants to do some street art, scenes from the water, scenes from the Charlestown Pier, scenes from the Alexandria Hospital.
Treasury Pier.
The Treasury Pier in St. Kitts as well. So we are still looking for some like-minded organization who might be minded to pay for that, because we think that will be a very lasting memory. And then on the evening, because Nevisians cannot come home, we're hoping to have a virtual show where we can link with people like Whitman Brown in St. Thomas, have some of the local survivors, somebody like Lofton Sargent, who's been stuck in St. Croix and wanted to make his way here, the youngest person known to have survived at age 10, and also to link up with people like Imranda Ward, who has done extensive study. And so if there's Open Interactive, who we have heard so much about, would like to partner with us, we'd like to put on a virtual show at the Nevis Performing Arts Center. The other thing is that we have interviewed 40 persons, and we are sitting on a repository of a lot of information. Past August 1st, we hope to lift this to another level. So whether they are filmmakers, whether it's Rudy Langley of St. Kitts Nevis fame who would like to partner with us, we think that this has some serious legs to go international. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and we are motoring on to August 1st. But we've got just 5 minutes, and we want to share with you 2 more tapes. One from Marion Elliott, who was left bereaved when her husband, my uncle, school teacher, perished, leaving her with 6 children. She wouldn't forgive me if I didn't play her tape this morning. She's listening in Toronto, Canada. Let's go to the Elliott family.
Mm-hmm.
We know that some of the churches, we've heard of the Anglican Church in particular, Father Blant, Father Eek in Charlestown, money was raised to help families. People believe that thousands of dollars flowed into the government. One person told me that Father Eek left Nevis because the government of Premier Robert Gratcher was saying all the monies should come to the government and not to the church. Did you benefit from any assistance from either church or government?
Nope. All I got was his little pension.
His pension? Okay.
Yeah.
Which must have been pretty small in those days.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you remember of it?
I remember he used to do carpentry right in the entrance. Yeah.
You did carpentry?
Sure.
Yeah?
They used to pick up some of these, you know.
You're serious?
He used to do carpentry right in the entrance. Yeah.
So you have inherited that skill?
I used to go in there watch him see what he's doing. When they really started picking up at them.
Yeah.
I continued the woodwork, but he used to do woodwork.
You know, the thing about it, Steve, these stories really, it's just amazing. I want to congratulate you and the team for the work you're doing. I mean, you're bringing it really home to everyone. You can't hear these stories and don't feel your hands tingle and feel a sensation. I also have a young man with me who is our major technical, guru. His name is Trent Sargent. You know who his dad is, right?
Well, we interviewed him last Thursday at Harborview. The first interview that he has done in these 50 years. We were told beforehand that he would be very unlikely to give us an interview. He doesn't like to talk about it, but he did last Thursday, and we're very, very, very proud of that interview. Thank you, Trent, for guiding us by phone to his home last Thursday. And of course, finally, we can't go without Winston Sonny Boy Skeet. As a 21-year-old, he was a real hero on that day, taking the Sea Hunter out to sea, rescuing many people. He was the first person to do a memorial at sea, 1st August 1998. And then in 2000, along with Hensley Daniel, his wife, and Thelma Paris, they had a memorial at sea, took survivors out. And so he's been leading the way. We also interviewed him at the Yachtsman's Grill. Not Yachtsman's Grill, that's Nevis. Fisherman's Wharf on St. Kitts last Thursday. Let's hear from Skeet.
We are godly blessed, A hurricane pass in the south, a hurricane pass in the north. That give us here in St. Kitts a boost in the tourism sector. And I just think we should live together as one man. At one time I was thinking that we should have a one-party state between St. Kitts and Nevis. Just let us live together. No opposition to say we're this.
You want that so badly?
Because we need cooperation, man, and we're not getting cooperation from no sides.
You've got a long way to go.
We got a long way to go.
Now, finally, they said people, even government officials, have tried to say to you over these 50 years, don't rehash that. Let that go. It's gone. But you think it's important for us to commemorate.
Like for instance, you have the this thing here. The memorial. And they do Papi Day. Look how long that happened. And we still. So why we can't keep our history going?
It's only 50 years.
It's only 50 years. And every year you see them around the memorial, they're having their thing for unknown.
Unknown soldiers.
Unknown soldiers. What about us?
We lost our sons, daughters,
mother, father, uncle,
father, children. We lost a generation.
We lost a generation.
we haven't quite yet recovered. Winston Skeet, nobody says it like him. Clive, I know we're at the top of the hour. I'm sure there will be several occasions to reach all of us by phone or to have us back ahead of August 1st, 2020.
Well, I want to thank all of you for coming here today. And of course, it was good talking to you. Any way we can help, we will. And we'll certainly be in contact. We have lots to talk about. I want to follow up on some discussions on the swimming. I want to talk to Alman about the technology he's going to be using. He's going to have his underwater drones deployed and his overhead drones. And, what is he doing for his mothership and all that. Of course, Steve, I want to talk to you about a number of things as well. And of course, I'm going to find out how you get rid of the punch. I'm going to speak to Winston about the punch, the punch redemption thing, So looking forward to it. And I wish you all the very, very best indeed.
Thank you very much, Clive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're tuned to Win FM, it's 90.9, and that's our program, the first segment of Voices, speaking about the Christian disaster today, and what a story indeed. Stay tuned, headline news coming up.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Close to 10,000 people have applied for assistance to the Social Security Board to the tune of $22 million due to the impact of COVID-19 on the local economy. That's according to the Director of the Social Security Board, Mr. Antonio Maynard. A panelist in the government-sponsored Leadership Matters program aired on several media platforms Tuesday night Mr. Maynard recalled that the mandate given to Social Security was to pay up to $1,000 per month to each employee for a period of 3 months.
We received a total of over 8,000 applications for employees through the Department of Labor for verification and processing, representing a total of 849 employers as at the 15th of June 2020, while another 1,568 self-employed applications were submitted to the Social Security head office directly for processing and payments. It is also important to note that our compliance department discovered over 2,000 duplicated applications apart from what were actually processed. With respect to the payments began on the 20th of April as promised, with continuous and daily uploads to the various bank accounts and dispatching of checks.
He outlined how the money was paid on a monthly basis.
For the month of April, we paid 7,827 persons, amounting to approximately $7.5 million. For the month of May, we paid 6,575 persons, amounting to some $6.4 million. And for the month of June, we are expected to pay approximately 5,781 persons. It is important to note also that we have factored in about 1,600 persons who have not been paid for April or May as yet, which will bring the total payout for June at around $7.6 million, with a grand total payout of approximately $22 million.
He said the Minister of Social Security, Mr. Eugene Hamilton, also approved the disbursement of more funds.
The Minister of Social Security, the new Minister of Social Security, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, in his communication dated the 26th of June 2020, has authorized an additional payment of $7 million to be made to the COVID-19 Relief Fund, in addition to the $15 million that was approved before. Subsequent to this correspondence, the Board of Directors at its meeting on the 30th of June, that was earlier today, approved same. We are therefore pleased to proceed with the payments due and payable not exceeding the sum of $22 million EC. I am also pleased to announce that payments for the month of June will now become available from this evening and tomorrow down to Friday of this week.
Mr. Maynard says Social Security continues to provide vital support during the current economic crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris is reporting that the local export manufacturing sector is on the rebound after the disruption caused by COVID-19. Dr. Harris, on Leadership Matters Tuesday evening, said all 7 manufacturers on St. Kitts and Nevis were making steady progress in putting people back to work.
All 7 major export manufacturers are now back in business. 720 employees are back to work out of a total of 982. That is 73% of manufacturing workers are out to work. We expect by October, more workers will be back on the job as the employers satisfy the protocols established by our National Emergency Operating Center, or the NEOC.
The Prime Minister gave a breakdown of the numbers per company.
Jaro Electronics, the manufacturing sector, had a total staff of 300, of which 156 already at work. Jaro is currently operating one shift. Cajola Cristada has a total pool of 205 employees. The number currently working stands at 158. 47 of its employees are at home. Cajola Cristada is operating two shifts. API Harrow Server has 225 employees, or had at the time of COVID-19. Presently, 183 of them are back.
Here are the numbers for other manufacturing companies in the Federation.
Carib Brewery has an employee base of 140 persons. To date, 135 are now back on the job. Electrofab had 69, 45 of whom are back to work, and Electrofab Limited is operating one shift. St. Kitts Brushes had 35 employees, 35 are back to work. And we have the Marara Distillers engaged in manufacturing. My understanding is that it has 8 employees, 8 are out to work. We expect that after certain repairs and renovation work, Jaro will be back to near full capacity. More persons at work makes it better for our economy, better for our families, indeed better for all of us.
With the police force's investigations continuing into the discovery of several illegal Haitians at a location in the Keys area, local investigators are now suspecting that a similar discovery in the British Virgin Islands and the one in St. Kitts are related. On Monday, June 22nd, police and soldiers went to a house in Keys where they found 10 males who were deemed to have arrived illegally. 3 others escaped but were later captured. Police on Monday, June 29th, revealed that Kervin Maynard of Keys Village was charged with knowingly harboring persons who entered the Federation illegally. Law enforcement officials in Rotong Tortola on Thursday, June 25th, discovered 10 illegal migrants who entered that territory via sea. While responding to reports from a concerned member of the community regarding a white sailing vessel that allegedly dropped off persons with backpacks at Prickly Pear Island, the Joint Task Force responded and the vessel on the northwestern side of the island was seized. The task force found 5 males and 1 female taking refuge in a small building. 4 more persons, 2 on the beachfront of the island and 2 on Leverick Bay, Virgin Gorda, were located. Preliminary investigations from the BVI police found that 53-year-old Crawford Sabroche of Dominica residing in St. Martin was arrested and charged for being engaged in illegal smuggling and illegal entry. Sources in St. Martin confirmed to WinFM Wednesday that it is a case of human smuggling. According to one source, it has been ongoing for quite some time, and law enforcement officials in the British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, and St. Kitts and Nevis should be sharing information. The source tells Win that investigations in the past indicated that the migrants would fly into the various countries, then use vessels to travel to the United States Virgin Islands, where they would seek refuge. Here in St. Kitts, Assistant Commissioner of Police with responsibility for Operation Adolphus Adams tells WinFM that the police's investigations are moving full steam ahead as they seek to connect the dots in the case. A police source tells Win that the group of migrants who resided in Dominica was heading to St. Martin with the USVI as their final destination. However, they were dumped off in St. Kitts and Nevis. A law enforcement official confirmed that the illegal migrants came to the island via boat, but they have not been able to locate the vessel. The St. Martin source indicated that the business of human smuggling, human trafficking, is a high network, highly profitable business if successful. However, the source was confused as to the discovery of a group of Haitians in St. Kitts, since reports suggest that St. Martin, with its use of the US dollar currency, is often described as the gateway for a connection to the United States Virgin Islands. He noted that reports point to the use of a south to north route that would not place them close to St. Kitts. This is not the first time that a group of illegal Haitians were found in the Federation. Back in October, the police discovered a group of 34 Haitians in Boardwalk who indicated that their vessel ran aground. The group told police that they were heading to French St. Martin with an onward connection.
2 weeks ago, Dr. Ellis Webster suggested that Premier Victor Banks and his Anguilla United Front had served their time in government and would be defeated in the June 29th general elections. Dr. Webster, speaking at the time on the Observer Radio Win FM link-up, was already bidding goodbye to Premier Banks and his AUF.
You sound very optimistic, Dr. Webster, but you are going up against Victor Banks, and he's very seasoned. He's been there for quite a while. Surely you're going to have a serious challenge.
Yes, certainly we don't expect him to go away, quietly into the night, which should happen. I mean, he's been in active politics for 41 years. Certainly, we thank him for his service, and we respect that he has given the time to Anguilla. But we feel that, his time has come for him to retire from active politics, because we feel that he's lost the vision to help Anguilla to move forward in these challenging times.
Ellis Webster and his Anguilla Progressive Movement took the mantle in Monday's elections, capturing 7 of the 11 seats in the Anguilla House of Assembly. Premier Banks lost to a 27-year-old newcomer, former Miss UK and Miss World contestant Deanne Kentish Rogers. APM leader Webster was on Wednesday pointing to what the new government's priorities would be. They include the reopening of the country's borders.
Well, immediate priorities, number one, we have to address our financial situation. COVID-19 has affected us significantly because, tourism is our main industry. And when we closed down on March 20th of this year, and we basically brought the country to a standstill. So the immediate priority is to have a reopening of Anguilla's borders so that we can, salvage some of the tourism industry and, kickstart the economy. And that is something that I'll be meeting with the Chief Medical Officer, the persons in the Ministry of Health, the Governor's Office, so that we can determine what's the best strategy and when is the best time to open Anguilla, knowing that the safety of our people is paramount.
The incoming Premier of Anguilla, Dr. Ellis Webster, speaking on Observer Radio.
Assisting those in need within the St. Thomas's area and beyond that district is the reason behind a new foundation formed by Nevis Reformation Party's Cleon Stapleton Simmons. She officially launched the Lowland Community Foundation and Morello Webb Scholarship Fund.
The foundation is a community-spirited initiative. It was actually one of my campaign promises for the by-election. And so the aim of the foundation is really to bring all of the communities within the St. Thomas's constituency together. And it gives us the avenue to be able to raise funds so that we could support persons in the community, whether it be social, health-wise, or educational-wise.
Ms. Stapleton Simmons speaking with Win FM Tuesday. She says the foundation is currently being run by an executive who are seeking volunteers to assist in the operations of.
And we are hoping that the other constituencies within Nevis would perhaps develop similar or like programs.
The Nevis 5 representative spoke to several of the issues she has found in the area since being elected.
In addition to that, what you find oftentimes is that there are people in the constituency who have specific needs. We have vulnerable people, for example, those who are elderly, persons who perhaps are not working due to COVID-19, persons who may be suffering from terminal diseases such as cancer, those who may need treatment, students who need assistance just with scholarship. And so what we, even before the by-election as a community, what we decided to do is that we are going to come up with an initiative or an avenue so that we are able to provide any assistance that people need. It don't necessarily have to be financial assistance, but what people need is something that a commonality where they can pool resources, meet people, be able to give assistance. Since the by-election, we were able to go as a constituency on a food drive where we were able to deliver food packages to persons in need. And so we want to be able to continue that type of outreach, that type of work within the constituency. So the foundation just creates that platform or that avenue for us to be able to channel resources, pool resources so that we can do community outreach programs.
Despite the NGO only being launched recently, support has already been pouring in, Ms. Simmons revealed.
Yes, people have been very receptive. There are persons who have reached out in terms of, seeing how they can make contributions or even give assistance. Even when we started the food drive back in, I believe it was March, the end of March, we had a lot of people reaching out to us and asking in what way, how they could assist people, how they are able to give donations, whether it be food, supplies, just household items, necessities, basic necessities. So I think the initiative is really a good initiative, and it would give us a chance to reach more people, perhaps not only in St. Thomas's constituency, but throughout Nevis, those who are in need.
She pledges that the foundation will assist any and everyone who it can afford to assist in their time of need. In an effort to strengthen the work of the National Carnival Secretariat, the Ministry of Culture has appointed Miss Hazel Webster as the Director of Carnival. The position, which was recently created, will see Miss Webster reporting to the National Carnival Committee and Chairman while leading the daily operations of the festival's office. She will also be responsible for supervising the office staff, assisting in coordinating the activities of all subcommittees, and will liaise with other internal and external stakeholder groups, including bands, troops, contestants, calypsonians, soca artists, and sponsors. Creation of the new post was made known by newly appointed Minister of Culture Janelle Powell at a recently held town hall meeting.
I will let one cat out of the bag in respect of Carnival, having gone through the Carnival, the National Carnival Act, and having reviewed the budget that has been made available for Carnival. One of the things that I intend to do is to utilize a provision in the Act that allows for a full-time director, executive director of Carnival. This is somebody who will have a full-time position within the Ministry of Culture, year-round, who can facilitate, who can man a proper Carnival Secretariat, who can work along with the committee and actually be on the committee, the Carnival Committee, to ensure that the necessary things are being done. Carnival now is so big that it is a year-round event. All know you see Carnival events happening. I think just last week there was the Calypso 19 versus COVID-19, where y'all saw me singing on this stage, Man Gone, Man Here, yeah. But that event was put on by the Carnival Committee, and that event had almost 15,000 people viewing it.
According to the Ministry of Culture, Ms. Webster comes into the position with experience from her volunteer work with the Operations Committee of the National Carnival Committee. He announced too that a meeting is scheduled with local health officials this week to determine the way forward for Carnival 2020-2021.
For Choice News Now, Nelsia Shalmine reporting. The Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari hosted their annual general meeting on Sunday, June 28th at the Miku Secondary School. Sunday's AGM resulted in the election of new executive members, as well as filing outstanding financial statements and making donations to members. Most significant, however, was the announcement of the filing of a constitutional motion by ICA.
For one, to protect the sacrament of the Rastaman, and two, it is a stay of arrest order for citizens involved in the possession of marijuana. And you know ICA will always be a full-fledged supporter of this motion, because most of its members are of the Rastafari faith, and we recognize the herb as our religious sacrament.
Reporters asked Nurse why it was important for ICA to file this motion at this time, given that Cabinet is currently considering a report by the island's Cannabis Commission.
We see the rest of the world has made moves to do away with these archaic rulings and laws when it regards the natural herb. And it is about time St. Lucia got on board. It's way past time that we got on that ball and move forward with what is right, what is just.
Nurse says that members of ICA are looking forward to their day in court when this matter is finally brought before a judge. In the meantime, we asked ICA President Aaron Alexander for an update on the Commission's report.
The Cabinet invited us to a sit-in where the report coming from Mr. Michael Gordon, QC, who was the chairman of that commission, and we are waiting word from Cabinet as to what position. Is it a yea or nay? We have not heard that been communicated as well, but as the PRO stated, the whole constitutional motion that we have filed, we are pretty much burning the candle on both ends, because we've been duped many times, by various administrations, and we decided that we are people determined to suffer no longer, so we are actually looking for our rights through the courts. So it is, as much as we are expecting Cabinet to make the right decision, we are going into this with good faith with the Cabinet, and we've time and time called in the interim there should be that stay of arrest of people. There should be at least an apology to the Rastafari community. There should be the immediate expunging of persons' records. So there are some immediate steps we believe that the government can take in the interim. So we are waiting to hear Cabinet's final verdict if it's a yea or nay. But at the same time, as I said, we're burning the candle on both ends. We are also pursuing for our rights in the courts.
The contents of the Cannabis Commission report have not yet been made public. However, Alexander says that the report recommends full legalization of marijuana as opposed to decriminalization.
There are no benefits really, especially when it comes to the state, that could be derived from a decriminalized regime. So the legalization regime is the best thing for the country, and it will see the government coffers, seeing significant improvement. And also we're looking at the whole aspect of the sacramental use for the Rastafari community, the personal use. So persons will be allowed a certain quantity without facing arrest and so on. There are much more benefits under a legalized regime. So that is where the Commission is headed. And of course, issues of protecting the youth, putting regulations in place to protect the youth and so on. All these things were points coming out of the Commission's report.
Alexander says that ICA is continuing to advocate for these issues. Another member of ICA explained that their movement has been growing.
At this AGM was very, very successful. I mean, when we have other people people like Dr. King, being a part of ICA and joining the Ayanola Council for the Advancements of Rastafari, that shows growth in the organization and interest in the organization by, a lot of people.
The Choice News team will provide updates on both the constitutional motion as well as the Cannabis Commission report as they become available.
This is Al Jazeera.
In its nearly 90-page report, the Mwatana Organization for Human Rights documents hundreds of arbitrary detentions, forced disappearances and torture since 2016. At least 66 Yemenis, it says, have died in secret prisons. The report identifies at least 11 unofficial detention centres. It blames the Houthis and militias trained by the UAE for the majority of the abuse. More than 100,000 people have died in the nearly 6-year war involving Iran-backed Houthi rebels and the Saudi-UAE coalition. Well, let's bring in Radia Al-Mutawakel, who is in Sana'a. She is the chairperson of the Mwatana Organization for Human Rights. Thank you so much for your time. The report documents abuses, I believe, between 2016 and April of this year, but these abuses are continuing even today, and many, you believe, may amount to war crimes.
Yes, unfortunately, especially this kind of violation, which is arbitrary detention, torture, and forced disappearance, it is still continuous. And in spite of all of the attempts and steps in order to make this file less miserable or to release people, it's still one of the hardest files in Yemen. And this violation is practiced by all parties to the conflict in Yemen.
We ran through some of the standouts, I guess you would say. It makes for really difficult reading. Hundreds of arbitrary detentions, as we said, forced disappearances, torture. Are there any specific stories or interviews that stood out to you as particularly shocking when you were compiling this report?
What was really shocking for me when I was reviewing the reports, because after it was handed to me by the team, it was the very terrible details about torture. It was bad to the extent that I couldn't review the report more than once. I refused to read it more than once. I didn't even imagine that parties to the conflict are dealing that badly, in a terrible way with the detainees. And in the report, 66 of those who were detained by different parties to the conflict were killed. They have died. So the torture, it's not one case, not even 2 or 3 or 4 cases. It's many cases of horrible details of torture inside the facilities, different unofficial prison facilities around Yemen. As you said in your introduction, most of the cases was by Houthis and also by the United Arab Forces United Arab Emirates PAC forces, and also by the Hadi government and authorities loyal to Al-Islah Party. This is when multiple power, when behavior can be perfect to explain what all parties to the conflict are doing with civilians.
The report says the scale and severity of these abuses have had a significant societal impact. You're in Sana'a. Can you just explain that to me?
So it's because, whenever there is arbitrary detention, it will not stop at this limit. It's going to be forced disappearance, and in many, many cases, it's going to be also torture. And when it comes to torture, if you just read the report, you will be surprised about the details of torture, not only in Sana'a, in Marib, in Aden, and different governorates in Yemen. And this file, although we are trying through our team of lawyers to participate in releasing many detainees, or at least help them to contact their families, and we have succeeded in some cases, but still, the majority of detainees since 2016 until now, they are in a very bad situation. And even when COVID-19 just appeared in Yemen, we were very scared, and we pushed that the detainees should be released because we also have done a research about the situation of detention centers in different governorates, and we know it's a horrible situation. And if the COVID-19 just started with one case in any detention facility, so it's going to be a disaster for all detainees. That's why it's very urgent that all parties to the conflict should release those detainees. And all of the cases we have documented, none of them was, had the right to go through any legal procedures or any kind of justice since many, many years.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. From Sana'a, the Radhia Al-Mutawakkil, chairperson of the Mwatana Organization for Human Rights.
This is the Carib Update News Service. I'm Wendy Chateau reporting. Major unrests around Trinidad and Tobago leaves one woman dead. This is the big story we're tracking this hour on Newsbreak for Wednesday, July 1, 2020. Details to this and more straight ahead. Now for the details. Major unrest in Trinidad, mostly in the capital city, resulted in the death of a woman and left several others nursing gunshot wounds. Mother of 5, Onelia Greaves, 30, was shot and killed along the Beetham Highway while a group of people squared off with the police. Video footage of the incident showed an officer discharging 2 rounds and the woman laying on the ground, surrounded by other protesters. She was rushed to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where she died during emergency surgery. 3 other people were shot. Police say a total of 72 people were arrested. The protest action started as early as 7 a.m. Tuesday, with police officers reporting fires in communities in East Port of Spain, Beetham, Sealots, and Belmont. Within hours of that, there were reports of similar fiery protests in Diego Martin, Cocorite, and other communities in western Trinidad. The demonstrations did not stop there, spilling over to areas in Mosica, Maloney, and other parts of East Trinidad, as well as in South Trinidad. Members of the Defense Force were called out to assist police officers from all divisions and agencies. The protesters called for justice after police shot 3 men in Second Caledonia on Saturday, with video showing the men with their hands up moments before they died. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley will hand over the chairmanship of the 15-member Regional Integration Movement, CARICOM, on Friday during a special conference of regional leaders. Mottley, who has served in the position for the past 6 months, will hand over to St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. The regional leaders will host their 20th special meeting on Friday via video conference, beginning at 10 a.m. local time, after they had agreed during their 9th meeting in April to stage the handing over ceremony at the beginning of July. The coronavirus pandemic, which has affected all CARICOM countries, has forced the annual summit, usually held in July, to be rescheduled to September 2 and 3 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. During Friday's virtual meeting, CARICOM leaders are expected to also address a number of procedural matters, according to a Barbados Government Information Service report. Trinidad's state-owned Caribbean Airlines says it will resume its regional and international operations from July 6 on a phased basis out of its hub in Jamaica. The airline, like many others worldwide, was grounded as countries closed their borders to curb the spread of the coronavirus that has killed more than 500,000 and infected in excess of 10 million others worldwide since it was first detected in China last December. The chief executive officer, Gavin Madeira, said that initially the airline will be providing daily flights between Kingston, Jamaica, and New York, weekly flights between Kingston, Jamaica, and Toronto, Canada, on Wednesdays starting July 8th. He said that this is to be increased to twice weekly with an additional service on Sundays from July 19. CAL will have twice weekly flights between Kingston, Jamaica and Bridgetown, Barbados on Mondays and Fridays. The airline, which recorded a loss of more than $14 million during the period March 23 to April 30, said that the sale of tickets for its flights began on Monday and that pending approvals, they plan to reintroduce daily Kingston to Miami, Florida routes shortly after these initial services. This is Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service. In more news, a new government has been sworn in Anguilla. Medical Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster earlier Tuesday was sworn in as Premier of Anguilla after his Anguilla Progressive Movement won an impressive 7-4 victory at the polls Monday. At a late afternoon swearing-in ceremony, the new cabinet was given their portfolios. The 27-year-old Deanne Kentish Rogers is the new Minister of Tourism and Education, and Hayden Hughes, the son of a former Chief Minister Hubert, is the Minister of Infrastructure. Dr. Webster is both the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health. Kyle Hodge is the Minister of Small Business Development, and Kenneth Hodge, the Minister of Home Affairs. Puerto Rico's governor on Monday declared a state of emergency as a worsening drought creeps across the U.S. territory amid a coronavirus pandemic. Starting July 2, nearly 140,000 clients, including some in the capital of San Juan, will be without water for 24 hours every other day as part of strict rationing measures. Puerto Rico's utilities company urged people to not excessively stockpile water because it would worsen the situation. And officials asked that everyone use masks and maintain social distancing if they seek water from one of 23 water trucks set up across the island. Telecommunications company Digicel says it will cease all paid advertising on Facebook platforms globally for the month of July as the company takes a stand against hate speech online. The announcement was made Tuesday. The company said the move is in solidarity with a number of leading global brands who have moved to send a strong message to Facebook that enough is enough and force it into affirmative action instead of idly standing by as its platforms are used to spark and spread negative, damaging and violent messaging. These are some of the top stories from around the Caribbean this hour. This has been Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service, the Caribbean's newsroom. Reporting this hour, I am Wendy Chateau.
Hello, this is Julie Candler with the BBC News. Britain is to grant up to 3 million Hong Kong people the right to live and work in the UK, following China's decision to impose a national security law in the territory. The Prime Minister Boris Johnson said people's rights and freedoms were under threat. There have been more clashes between police and protesters in Hong Kong, with the first arrests under the new law. The pro-democracy campaigner Bonnie Leung told the BBC that China's new powers could trigger an exodus of people from Hong Kong.
There are certain people who are about to leave, because especially people with children, because the national security law also will affect our education system. So it will not be a good place for children to grow up in. So a lot of people, I believe, are seriously consider leaving.
A court in Algeria has given heavy prison sentences for corruption to a number of figures who were close to the ousted president, Abdelaziz Bouteflika. Alan Johnston reports.
Among those convicted was Ali Haddad. He ran a huge business empire and was one of Algeria's richest men. He was imprisoned for 18 years. 2 ex-prime ministers were each handed 12-year sentences, and 8 other former ministers were put behind bars for between 2 and 20 years. All these men had prospered close to President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, but their world fell apart when he was forced to resign early last year after weeks of street protests across Algeria.
Thousands of Palestinians have been protesting against Israel's plans to annex parts of the occupied West Bank. Demonstrators gathered in Gaza as well as the West Bank cities of Jericho and Ramallah, many of them carrying Palestinian flags. Some described the proposals put forward by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a declaration of war. They condemned Donald Trump for supporting Mr. Netanyahu. Israel's coalition government had said it might start the annexation process from Wednesday, but the plan seems to have stalled. Police in the Italian city of Naples say they've seized a world record 14 tons of amphetamine-based drugs, which they suspect were made in Syria to finance Islamic State militants. The haul is thought to be worth more than $1 billion. Here's Mike Sanders.
Police found the drugs in 3 containers in the port of Salerno, south of Naples. Inside was the equivalent of 84 million pills of counterfeit Captagon, a drug popular in the 1960s as a stimulant and a diet aid. It is banned in many countries, but generic versions are still common in the Middle East. Islamist militants are known to use it on operations. Police say they're looking into possible links between the Naples-based crime gang, the Camorra, and Syrian criminals working with Islamic State agents.
World news from the BBC. Russia's Central Electoral Commission has begun releasing the results of a referendum on constitutional reform several hours before the last polling stations close. It says about 70% of voters back changes that could keep President Putin in power for another 16 years. Only a small fraction of ballots have been counted. The Spanish politician Francisco Serrano says a fraud inquiry has forced him to stand down from Vox, the far-right party he led to a breakthrough victory in Andalusia in 2018. Prosecutors allege that he and his business partner claimed more than $2 million in subsidies for a timber project that never took off. He denies it. The number of forest fires in Brazil's Amazon region went up by almost 20% in June compared with the same month last year. President Jair Bolsonaro has been criticised by environment groups and world leaders for encouraging an expansion of agriculture and mining activities in the Amazon. Shops in Japan have begun charging for plastic bags as the country tries to reduce its reliance on the material. The UN says that per capita, Japan uses more plastic than any other nation, apart from the United States. A team of astronomers has discovered a previously unclassified object deep in space and think it's the core of a giant planet. Our science editor Paul Rincon reports.
Giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn have a solid planetary core beneath a thick atmosphere of gas, but no one has ever been able to see what these solid cores are like. Now a team of astronomers has found an object that fits the description, orbiting a star like the Sun that's 730 light-years away. The team knew the object must be the core of a giant planet because it's unusually dense for its size. It's about 3.5 times bigger than Earth, but 39 times heavier. Objects with these properties are thought to draw gas in to form giant planets.
BBC News.
From the South, 98.9 FM.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We now bring you the WinFM Headline News. The WinFM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily low with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
Local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis, valid up to 8 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, 2nd July. Synopsis: moisture and instability associated with a tropical wave will heighten the chances of showers across the region. Possible rainfall total for the forecast period is 6 to 19 millimeters or 0.25 to 0.75 inch. Today's weather: cloudy with showers and a 30% or low chance of thunderstorms. Tonight's weather: mostly cloudy with a 70% or high chance of showers. Winds east-southeast at 19 to 30 kilometers or 10 to 16 knots, with gusts in showers possibly peaking to near 48 kilometers or 26 knots. Seas 1.2 to 1.5 meters or 4 to 5 feet. Today's sunset 6:49 p.m. Tomorrow's sunrise 5:41 a.m. This has been your local weather forecast, valid up to 8 a.m. tomorrow. Brought to you by Sweet Cane.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Hi there, very good afternoon to you. You're listening to Voices on Win FM 90.9, and Voices comes your way compliments Flow and SL Hospital and Company Limited.
Flow's new combo plan, the people's plan. Combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your Flow.
I want a combo, but not for my belly. I feel my cell phone, so me call anybody. Call Mr. Man, call Granny. On the island, Flow come combo.
Yes, there is no need for two phones no more. Cause with Flow combo plan, you're paying less for more.
Flow got a new combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your Flow.
Dial star 129 number sign to activate your combo plan today.
Well, a very good afternoon to you once again. We're on Voices on Win FM 90.9. An extended newscast for you. Weather forecast as well. And this morning, we are very happy to have indeed a team from Nevis, and a distinguished team, talking about the MV Christine disaster, some great plans to honor and to memorialize the people and the families affected by the Christine disaster. And those, of course, who've lost their lives and those who lost their loved ones as well. And on Win FM 90.9, we continue our coverage of that in the coming days and weeks ahead. And of course, we'll bring you coverage on the 1st of August as well. I want to say thank you so much to Steve Manners for organizing that particular team to come on down to St. Kitts to talk to us about the Christine disaster and the plans that are being made at the moment. For the second half of the program, we have an open mic, so you can give us a call. We know at this time, in the Caribbean Court of Justice, I'll be listening to arguments about the situation in Guyana pertaining to the elections and whether or not the election supervisor, or GCOM as they're called, the Guyana Elections Commission, whether actions were appropriate or not, whether it's in violation of the law. There's a break right now, a lunch break, and then we're going to continue in a bit. Keep it locked here with the family. Bring you the latest news as soon as we can. Our numbers are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. Overseas numbers are 0333-344-0065, 718-285-6984, 305-921-4619. And those numbers, of course, are on our website, www.winnfm.com. We go to the phone lines and hear from our first caller for today. Call you on the air. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Backus.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to you.
And how are you today, sir?
Well, as usual, you know me, always giving thanks.
We have to. We definitely have to. It's a brilliant day. It's gorgeous.
It is.
Yeah, we now lacking of vitamin D. So, you know, when you get out the studio, let's take a little walk and, you know, get re-energized by vitamin D.
I just got back in.
People have to pay so much for it, but we have it here.
Absolutely.
You know, a wash, so to speak.
Sure.
Yeah. Yesterday, though, I enjoyed the discourse with both prime ministers of Antigua and Barbuda and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, weighing in as they are members, they are share owners, so to speak, of the entity, the airline entity, LIAT. I enjoyed the discourse. But yesterday, a gentleman called in, I think the Rastafarian LAX, and he did elaborated. He did weigh in on a situation at hand here in terms of our sovereignty and the infiltration of our borders by some other nationals in the CARICOM within the community, specifically the Haitians. And I listened to a news clip, and it's Telisa. There was a news clip that was aired, and I think a formal apology was made by that particular entity.
Yeah, that was Telesur.
Yes.
Yes, they falsely reported that Haitian illegal immigrants had COVID-19, and they had to apologize for that because it's not true.
Yes, that's so correct, because it really raised amounts of people some fear of, sort of anxiety in terms of our strides in terms of really collaborating collectively and trying to really stem the tide of the spread of the coronavirus. And then, lo and behold, that type of news, I can imagine persons who are, more susceptible, vulnerable to that, how it would have been. But they retracted and they rescinded and they made a formal apology. But I just want to elaborate on the stigmatization. Once you hear Haitian, be it Ebola, COVID, anything negative, there would have been persons of. And it is ironic. It is ironic to be stigmatized like that when those illnesses does not originate in certain parts of the Caribbean or Africa or elsewhere. But mainly we bear the brunt of the stigmatization. And that is where I want to use as a point of departure to really elaborate on. Because you did mention of an interview you had with a Haitian brother, and I really would appreciate it, Mr. Backus. You bring that to the fore. We want to hear from the Haitian perspective, but as they are not being represented, this is my perspective on Haiti. There has been a stigmatization, and we all know the war for their independence from 1798 to 1804. And I want to use a biblical reference. Yesu, who we call Jesus, was accused of casting out demons by the means of demons. And he elaborates and he breaks it down for them and tell them, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. How can we blame in the Haitians for all this type of evil when they was fighting for their freedom? On the flip side, it would have been those who down-pressed them and kept them down for all those years and wanted to be human beings. The flip side, the others who was committing such atrocities, like the French and the British and the Americans, and because it's four armies they defeated, including that of Napoleon. 4 armies, world power armies that back in those days, they defeated. So how can they use means of the enemy to defeat the enemy. I beg to differ. And this is where our people have to get it right. I beg to differ because the enemy is who was attacking them. And I use the biblical reference to lend clarity to that aspect of it. And so we all know, if John Bertram Aristide had asked and gotten the reparations, our brothers, they're artists. They're very artistic. They have some good craft that St. Kitts can borrow from their ideas and help within our craft industry. They're good at sculpture, craft work. And they can stand on their own. Just like how the Belgians are apologizing, or they're standing short of an apology of their atrocities, they are the ones who have committed evils against our people. So stop, cease and desist from accusing the Haitians from using other evil means of getting their freedom. They got their freedom through the resilience and the memories of their ancestors who are warriors, and they fought gallantly for their freedom and free themselves. And not only that, they embedded in the Constitution that any person, we're talking about 1804, slavery wasn't abolished until 1834. So we're talking about earlier where they are loved and would ever love anybody. I think that Henry Christophe, they say he was a Kittitian. We know of Dottie Bookman, who went from Jamaica, and others went there. And when the British Governor General asked for the people, the Haitian government said, you can come for your ship, it is in the harbor. But these people are free people because they was granted. Anyone would have granted. That's the part the Haitians did. And we only remember Haiti because David Rudder sang the song. But we need to remember our brothers and sisters. And when they're down, we need to help them. Because another biblical reference, they say, Jesus said, I was sick and I was in prison and I was hungry and you did not feed me. You did not clothe me. You did not do this thing to me. And they said, when we saw you sick, hungry and shelterless and these things that did not accommodate you. Jesus said, as much as you do it to one of these, as much as you do it to the Haitians, you have done it to me. So there's a day of reckoning is coming. When we feel we're so righteous, we're going to stand before the judgment and listen to those sentiments. There are brothers and sisters, and it's the European world is who have us in this mess, in this morass. And we need not to take it out on nobody, none from the Caribbean, because we came on the same ships. Your mother or father could have been dropped off in Guyana, Mr. Bacchus, but her brother or sister could have been dropped off in St. Kitts. We don't know who our peoples are, but we need to treat everybody with kindness. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you very much for calling.
Play that clip, Mr. Blackhurst. We need to hear from the Haitian perspective. And you as a journalist, the onus is on you. If you get an interview and you did said it, please to let the world hear what the Haitian man said. Thanks for listening.
All right, thank you very much, my brother. Well, I did interview a member of the Haitian community. The issue, though, is that the gentleman's a bit shy, and I didn't have the permission. I tried. I didn't get the permission to actually play his voice on the radio. So what I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to organize a group of Haitians to come talk to us on radio, on Voices, or a similar program, to share with us their thoughts about the perception of Haitians and the whole issue of Haiti and all that. But what he did say to me, and I can paraphrase a bit what he said, I asked him how he felt about the stigma that, he experiences all the time. He says to me, in my own words, I can't remember exactly how he put it, he said to me, he understands why people react that way, but he's never committed any crime. He was a hard-working man. He's been in St. Kitts for over 5 years and never gotten into any trouble, has a work permit. And he says the real problem is that he can't stay at home because there's nothing at home for him. So he understands why people react the way they do, but he actually blames the government in his country and successive governments for not being able to provide a home for his people. And they have been forced for survival to head off into neighboring territories seeking to get a job, seeking to make a living. Whether it's the Bahamas, whether it's the Cayman Islands, anywhere, just not home, because it's not home. is hostile to him and what he wants to do for himself and what he wants to do for his family. So hopefully I can get a team in to talk about it. It's not just about Haiti, my brother. Refugees are refugees. The issue is one of illegal immigration, and the legal citizens do not support illegal immigration. To some extent, what we're witnessing in some areas is human trafficking. And some of the Haitians who may show up sometimes on St. Kitts, according to some reports from the State Department and other places, they're usually bound for the U.S., usually bound for the U.S. Virgin Islands. And they basically leave neighboring islands through St. Martin in particular, heading down to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and sometimes some wind up on St. Kitts. But all that, of course, will have to come from the experts. But that's according to some reports published on trafficking in persons. And many of the people who are trafficked are exploited. Sometimes they're put off in the wrong place and told that this is St. Martin, and you're not in St. Martin at all, you're in St. Kitts, or you're in Sabre Station or something. So the plight of the refugee, the plight of the person who doesn't have a home is a real and serious matter. And it's all over the news. If you look around, you'll see it. There's people from all across the world, Syria, Haiti, all over. Back to the phone lines we go. Call you live and on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Backus.
Yes, Miss Henry. Good afternoon. Good to hear from you as usual.
Carry me.
Well, the thing about Haiti, most of us don't have any plans to go to Haiti. We prefer to go to Florida.
Well, but, I mean, Jamaicans go there to shop, you know. You know that?
Of course, miss, of course.
The higglers, as we call them.
Of course.
That's where they go to shop, because they have factories there and they do the wholesaling.
Well, just across the road, right? That's why.
Yeah, some maybe... Our people are not familiar, but I must also say something, because I've heard
I know Mr.
a number
Cook.
of black conscious, I'm using the word cautiously, black conscious persons asking us to overlook the circumstances under which the people came here. During good times, I don't know why some of us haven't thought about adopting a Haitian child. Well, I mean, they made it hard enough because a number of Americans have adopted Haitian children, and they end up in unfavorable circumstances. They actually trafficking them. You know, but I was even thinking after that, the big earthquake, that more CARICOM countries would have taken in the Haitians. But to ask this country to allow the 13 persons or the 34 to stay, when your economy is not booming, is not even fair to the Haitians. If you want to drive around or walk around to Newtown where I live and see the conditions under which some of the Dominicans, those from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic live, you don't want to put anybody through that. There are UN conventions, you know, that says what you're supposed to do for migrants. So if you cannot provide the migrants with good, proper living conditions, then you will have to limit the amount that comes in and encourage them to come legally. Because you wouldn't want what happened in the Bahamas. This is what happened in the Bahamas. You will say, well, Bahamians are black and so. But when you create a situation where they come in and they live in slums, you don't want it for yourself. Even some landlords here in Newtown, I walked through the alleys and there were many abandoned houses, derelict. And next thing you know, people have the nerve to rent them, you know, to the Spanish. They have a whole set camping out up by Ponds Estate. And they are allowed to live in that condition. Is that what we really want for the Haitians? Are you as an advocate willing to take them on? I mean, take one in your home. Because anybody could talk. We must want better for people. Not allow people to come in to live in deplorable conditions. I have met Haitians abroad when I go to the IMF and stuff like that. Haiti has universities, you know. Some people think Haiti is all poor. That's not true. They have good culture and everything. But I question the, I don't want to say integrity, of people who are advocating that they stay without offering themselves up to help to solve the solution. You know, so that is what I think about it. Now, in relation to the Christina thing, I must compliment and commend the persons you had on the radio this morning. However, I have one thing though. The St. Kitts end, to me, has not been investigated and researched as much as the Nevis end. A lot of people in St. Kitts, you know, and as the gentleman said, the majority of the persons are buried in St. Kitts. And it is high time for either the government or some group to take upon the task of creating a memorial in St. Kitts. Call upon the minister, whoever is responsible for the cemetery, Springfield Cemetery, to hallow the grounds of the persons who are buried in trenches. So because I was living in Newtown, I almost went on the boat, you know. You know, a lot of people here escape.
I heard about that, you know.
Yeah, because sometimes we concentrate on those who were on the boat. I recall I was waiting for my husband to come home so I could go to Nevis. I used to go to Nevis on August weekend to spend time with my relatives, my father's relatives in Bath Village. And he took so long, and when he came, he said, Sylvine, I was pregnant, because my child was born September. He said, Sylvine, the crowd I see on that pier, I don't think you're able to manage, you know, and if anything happens, you can't swim. I can't swim and I'm pregnant. You know? I have had a co-worker who said she was on the pier, and when she saw people jumping on the boat, even after the boat was turning off, she just came off. So we have got to include not only those who drowned and who escaped and so, but those who were on the pier. And my good friend Terry, I haven't heard Terry for a while. Terry deserves mention. He said he was only 15 when he went out on the launch with Mr. Bratcher and whatever, you know, to help move bodies and stuff like that. So I am encouraging Mr. Crook and Mr. Manners, please to broaden your investigation and get some more St. Kitts and Kittitians inside of your research. Because there are people in St. Kitts. I went to the Commission of Inquiry, and I'm finishing now, in the courthouse. And that's another place I don't have to research it. But I attended the Commission of Inquiry at the Bastille courthouse. And I saw a lady there who said she had so many children. I think she happened to say one or two. The water, she said, pull her children out. So I want them to do a little more investigation into the persons in St. Kitts who survived, who are from St. Kitts. All right, then.
All right, Ms. Henry, thank you very much for your contribution, as usual. You're listening to Voices on Win FM 98.9. And, of course, you have an open mic, so you can call and raise your issues. We were talking earlier on to a group from Nevis, Steve Manners, Almond, Terry, and Winston, and talking about how to honor those who have passed and teaching swimming, because a lot of people, even though surrounded by water, don't know how to swim. Some people are fearful of the water, what they can't see. And, of course, there is an absence of an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and therefore it's a call for more investment, perhaps in pools, to get more people to swim, training and all that. And then, of course, we got to talking about Haiti. And Haiti, of course, is portrayed by, like many countries in some parts of Africa. Whenever you see Haiti, an image of Haiti, most times than not, it's an image of devastation. It's an image of poverty. Yes, Haiti is in fact rated as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, with about 80% of the population reportedly living on less than $2 per day. And you're talking about almost 10 million people with an unemployment of over 40%. Life expectancy in Haiti, according to stats produced last year, was just over 60 years. So by the time you get to 60, it's almost over. Let's go back to the phone lines. All right. Sorry, caller. Perhaps it took a bit too long to get to you. We do apologize for that, and do call back if you are so inclined, and we'll try to be a little more responsive and get you online. But let's hear from our partners for a moment.
Stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
This is an unprecedented announcement from Horseman's. Get up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. It's Horseman's Automotive Unprecedented Sales Event happening now. Yes, for the first time ever, you get up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Yes, pay zero VAT and get up to $30,000 off on top of that. This has never been seen before. Unprecedented savings at the Unprecedented Auto Sales Event at Horseman's Automotive. Up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Let me repeat, up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Don't miss this, it's unprecedented. Terms and conditions apply.
You're tuning to Win FM, it's 90.9. Of course, talking about Haiti, we must remember, of course, the political trials in Haiti, occupation, instability, the ousting of governments, and of course, tropical storms, earthquakes, and hurricanes, all piling up on Haiti. Well, I've met many Haitians, very bright, very knowledgeable, speak at least 2-3 languages, very organized communities in some parts of the world. The Haitian community is always thriving, whether it's art, whether it's cuisine, culture, or just knowledge. So I'm very impressed with the Haitians I've met, and I continue to admire the fortitude, the strength, the resilience, the creativity of those I've met, and of course the ability to organize and work together to achieve common goals. Let's go back to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Call you live and on the air. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, me back. Since somebody calling.
Yes.
Now, you know, I have always said Haiti is a member of CARICOM. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. I have always contended that CARICOM could have done more. You go to these CARICOM countries, we have excess of professionals. You have students coming back saying, oh, they can't find work, and you know what I mean? I was thinking, and I've said it on the radio, maybe not your station, but I've been saying it for years now. The same way the Cubans send out their professionals, CARICOM could have done the same thing. It can even be done on an island basis. Rather than have people studying and then they can use their knowledge, they get maybe a desk job or something. Why not organize people, call them what you want, ambassadors, whatever you want to call them. These young people, because they need a challenge, you know, our young people have life too easy. Send them to Haiti. They can go and teach. We have all these medical students. I heard one person saying how they have doctors on step. Send them Haiti. The same way the Cubans could send their people, the doctors and the psychiatrists. We, as Caribbean people, Kittitian and Division, should do the same thing. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm open to all good ideas. I think what I've heard from people I've spoken to, one, the language barrier. Some people have a difficulty with speaking anything except dialect or English. So the fact that Haiti is French poses an issue. Then, of course, you have there's lots of talk about Haiti and the culture in the country, and there's some people who see Haiti basically as not being quite Christian. And so there's some people who say to you...
Are you aware that a lot of American evangelicals, if you want to call them so, are doing what they call missionary work down there?
Well, I'm not supporting these
arguments. And they don't speak French, you know?
No, I'm not supporting the arguments. I'm just telling you what when you ask people...
I know, I'm just...
You know, when you ask people...
You're not to counter, because we will always have an excuse.
That's what we tend to say things about... We say obia, we say obia, we say voodoo, we say all kinds of things, you know?
They might learn something. They will learn, and who know how to pray will know how to pray against obia.
I think the issue is because Haiti is poor, it's not attractive.
Yeah, but...
So I think that may very well be the issue. Or one of the issues.
In our education system, right? I don't want to change now. Once you enter junior high, it used to be junior high then, you had 2 years of French and 2 years of Spanish. And our children, I suppose, because you see now, if they had an outlet, then they might be more keen to try and retain it. We have a lot of students that usually write French, you know. You got Alliance Française and all of those things here. If they could go down, you're going to give them a salary so that they're able to live at the standard of which they're accustomed here. I have said it, start to send our young people, all of those who are unemployed and they can't work and they come back and they can't get no job and they won't get up and do anything for themselves. Man, send cadre of them down to Haiti. They could even teach them English because English is the commercial language. But I think we need to do something practical other than just talk. All right, then.
All right, thank you very much. Well, CARICOM has done quite a lot with Haiti, whether it's responding to disasters, whether it's trying to broker agreements with between political factions. There are exchanges. There was an office, a CARICOM office, based in Jamaica, headed by P.J. Patterson, that dealt with Haiti. So some efforts were made, but at the level of the people, there hasn't been lots of travel to Haiti. So I think that may be one of the issues. People's perception of Haiti is depending on what movie they're looking at or what newspaper article they're reading or what they see online. So there hasn't been a lot of people going to Haiti. There have been Haitians coming to other countries. Let's go back to the phone lines call. You're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, Clive. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm doing fine, man. Good to hear from you. What's up?
Well, so far, so good. It could be worse. There's always room for improvement. It could be better, too.
True. Quite true.
Well, I listened to some of the conversation on Haiti, and I recognize that if you put a Kittian, a Haitian, a Guyanese together, and you give them a certain amount of money, I'm sure when you get back the next day, probably most of the time the Kittian will be in the same position, and the Haitian and the Guyanese will be way ahead of them because of the way they practice to spend their hard-earned generating income.
Well, let me ask you this question, seeing you going along that particular road. When you say a Kittian, do you mean a Kittian at home or a Kittian abroad?
A Kittian at home.
Okay. So you understand what I'm saying? Because whether Kittian's abroad is a different matter.
Where I'm coming from and where I'm going. At this moment, we are in the position where this epidemic caused this disaster in St. Kitts. And most of the people might be going into what you call redundancy money, what you call severance pay. It is my view that severance pay was practically set up in a way to protect those who have been working for a company for a period of at a time. And when that job becomes no more in existence, that person will become what you call redundant, severance. And so that person will receive a certain amount of money from the government. If you work up to a certain amount of years, you will receive a full year pay. Having received that money, let's say you receive a full year pay, and you normally work use a ballpark figure of $20 per week. And to me, once you get that money in your hand for a full year, that will be practically a lot of money. It is my view that that money for a full year should be used at least every week. Every week, if you normally get $20 per week, you're normally supposed to draw $20 from it for your survival per week. That's supposed to maintain you until you're able to get another job, maybe find some other means of self-employ rather than going back into the establishment of being re-employed by someone else or the organization of which you left. Some reason or another, some people have a tendency, when they see that amount of money, they go wild and they go crazy and they start spending like there's no more tomorrow. And so at the end of the day, they would have had this amount of money in their hand, and before you know it, in a few months, the money would have woof. Locally speaking, saying, woof, it's gone. And so therefore, what, in my view, I think that our people need to be taught, need to train, need to consider that their hard-earned money must be spent carefully. Because people from Guyana, people from Dominican Republic, people from Haiti, they don't spend like us. They strategically spend the money carefully because they expect that somewhere down the line that the true spending will be needed. And so they calculate the odds and they spend it wisely. And so therefore, I'm not sure that if you go downtown, you will find somebody from Haiti or Dominican Republic putting out their hand or their hat and begging you. Because whatever little they get, they make full use of it and they plan how to spend it carefully. And so at the end of the day, they would be ahead of the game. That is why I say if you put them together, you probably might meet the Kittitian somewhere. Someone will say to me, why are you saying that? You're speaking bad about Kittitian. You have to speak truth to power. And you have to speak to facts. We have to stop looking at government to give us things and to do things for us, even though that is what government is there for, to help the lesser and to bring them up to the stronger level. But at the same time, people must individually do their own thing and help themselves. If they have boots, pull up themselves by their own bootstrap and actually help each other so that we could help ourselves. To me, that's how I see it. I think I've said enough. If you have a question for me, I'll answer.
No, you're doing well. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yes,
bye.
man. All the best, man. Thanks for calling. You know, the thing about it is that, you know, I'm kind of lucky in that I've had a chance to visit quite a few Caribbean countries, and I'm the kind of guy, if I go to a Caribbean country, I'm going to find myself at some point pretty close to a rum shop or something like that at some point. And you have some of the best conversations at the rum shop. You don't have to drink all the rum in the place, you know, but it's good to just be around and listen to people talk and express themselves. And if they get to, if they want to give you the time of day, then you get a chance to listen to people talk and you get get some really good stories. It seems to me in most places I go, people are accusing people of that country of being lazy. And that usually applies to when they're at home. When you see the Guyanese or the Jamaican or the Kittitian abroad, they are considered to be very thrifty and hardworking people. And I've traveled around the U.S. Virgin Islands and BVI and can tell you that Kittitians are hardworking people. St. Martin as well. I've met many Kittitians in those places, and they're on top of the food chain, doing well. Some are taxi drivers, some are in tourism, some are in marinas, hotels, you name it. You'll find a Kittitian ranking and hardworking in those places. Let's go back to the phone lines. Call you on the air. Good afternoon. All right. Sorry. 466-0989, 762-0989, 662-0989. Those are our numbers. And we do apologize to that caller. Let's go back to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Call you on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Backus. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good afternoon to you.
Okay. You said this thing with Haiti. This Haitian, so to speak, Haitian problem, it really is showing us up real bad. And to me, what it brings to the fore is the self-hatred that we have about all of us as a people. When we look at Haitians, and I say we, I am part of the group, but not me specifically. But when we look at Haitians, we see ourselves in them. And because we hate and we despise ourselves so much, we don't want to accept them and welcome them. We don't know who they are, you know. Maybe they're more brainster than we are. Maybe they're far more intelligent than we are. We don't know. But look at it now. Look at the neighboring country. Haiti, Santo Domingo, or the Dominican Republic. Those two countries are on the same landmass, Hispaniola. But look at what happened. You have the other half that come in here, and it doesn't matter how many times people say, they see boats and they see people coming in. You ain't here where the forces have been go after them, you know. Up to now, you ain't here. Nobody been held and charged for illegally holding on to the Santo Domingos. And what do our people say? Oh, our people went to Santo Domingo, so they are our people. Who tell you so? Who says so? Has any test in so many different ways have been done to find out who come here, if they are indeed related to us? So how come when they come here, they don't want to know who they are, who their family is? And you know why? Because most of them who come here, they are of a mixed breed. And this is the kind of mentality that we have. You see, this is who we want. So we, our dark-skinned self, we hate our blackness. So we want to hide behind every other complexion. You see? We feel good about ourselves when we hide behind other people's complexion. And that is why you see they're more accepting of those who come from the neighboring country to Haiti. Not because of nobody went down there and had children. I don't believe so. But look at what happened the other day. Most of them now, I'm sure they have their papers to stay. Now, if we are going to treat our brothers and sisters from Haiti this way, you can't leave Santo Domingo. Huh? And right now here in Santo Domingo, they're sending out the dark-skinned people who have born there. Generations upon generations, they're down there. But yet they come here and they are given the American treatment. They're given the American treatment. When people talk about strengthening the borders, nobody listening, nobody paying attention. What do you expect? And if we're going to go about boasting about how we're doing better than this and we're doing better than that, well, if somebody somewhere else is going through hell, well, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? I'm not saying that we must open up our borders, our country to everybody, and so everybody coming, because, I mean, we will be overwhelmed. But at the same time, we can't treat Haiti like that. And then Santo Domingo get away. And we're talking about, how family went down there. How many went down there? How many people had children down there? We don't know, because it's a lot of them who come up here. We can't say that all of these people who come up here have relations up here. I don't believe so. And I'm telling you, they don't identify with us. They identify more with Europe. They don't identify with Africa. You let me tell you that. And it's not even to say the darker skin one comes here. I know somebody might look at it and say, well, this is racist and so on. But if you want to deem me as that, that's your business. I make no apology for it. Because as long as this earth remains and this world system, that's what it's going to be like. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to always be about race. So don't fool yourself. You see? But we are going to have a problem like this because we hate ourselves. We hate ourselves. The Santo Domingo and them coming inside here in droves move far more than the Haitians. When something come with Haiti, everybody knows. But when the Santo Domingo come, nobody know nothing. And they're melting. Nobody go do no research. Nobody go do no search. Nobody go find them. I heard one caller talk about the condition of the houses that they live in. Has anybody ever considered that maybe those are the same ones who come in illegally and they take anything they can get? This is what happened. Even when Kitishans and other people go abroad, a lot of our people live in deplorable conditions up to now. Some of them can't come back home because they put this country behind their back. They can't come back home. They are afraid, but they have somewhere to come, but they can't come back home because they are afraid. Nobody in no other country make life any easy for us. You might have the one or the two who might be, lucky in that area, but for the most part, Kitishans go overseas, and they have to fight their way. If you live in a condition, that you're not to your liking, you work until you can get yourself out. But we always feel like we have to be here to give hand life, to on a platter to persons. That's life. If you're going to leave where you go from, you can't expect to get a better roses. You have to make life and fight life and work hard. Everybody where they go do it. Like I said, there might be a few exceptions. That is if you're going straight to family. And finally, before I go, the Haitians are treated as illegal. But whenever you talk about the Santo Domingo, you know what you know here now? Even from those who come out of Parliament, they're telling you, oh, they're coming in illegally now. Sorry, they're coming in legal. They're now coming to the airport. So what do you expect? Those who come in illegally, they don't have the papers, so they can send for those to the airport. You see what I'm saying? But we're going to have a lot to tell our God, you hear me, for the way we treat one another. But then again, I don't expect us to treat the Haitian brothers and sisters any better. Because right here in this federation, we don't have no love for one another neither. Listen to them every day. You hear how they talk. Politics, up to today, is still dividing our people. It's because of what? Hatred, self-hatred, and hatred for each other as a group. Up to now, we can't get it together. So I don't expect it to be extended elsewhere. But I think we need to give our Haitian brothers a chance. If we're going to send them back out, you need to send back out the Santo Domingans. Because everywhere the Santo Domingans go, after a while, economies get in trouble. Because they come, it's all about economics, and that is where they start sending home all of their money. Puerto Rico get a problem, St. Croix get a problem, St. Thomas get a problem. Everywhere they go, it's all about economics. They don't care about nobody else. They come and they do what they have to do to get the money, and they send it out. And then you are the one who are going to pay, because when they don't build up themselves over there, they're going to leave and go back home, because that's their home. All right.
All right, caller, thank you very much. All right, that's going to bring our program down for today. We're going to wrap it up here. Stay tuned. We've got Working For You coming up in just a few. It's going to be an interesting program this afternoon. Working For You will be talking about Plastic-Free July. It's that time of the year again when we talk about single-use plastic. So stay tuned for that. Director General of the SKNIS, Mr. Les Roy Williams, will be speaking to Daniel Taylor on today's program. So stay tuned. That's coming up in just a few. And, well, thank you so much for calling. Thanks for being a part of today's program. Thanks to Steve Manners and the team, Winston, Terry, and Almond. Thank you so much. And, of course, all the callers. I'm Clive Backus. Good afternoon.
Flows new combo plan, the people's plan. Combo. New combo plan.